Hello, and here we are for another session of Making Sense of It. We have been looking for the past 3 weeks, we have been looking in depth at the axioms of reality therapy and choice theory. So we're going to, of course, continue with that today. I'm Mona Dunkin, and I will be reading 1 through 8, and then Sharon Sue Tomaszewski is joining in with us, and she will be looking at additional quotes that Dr. Glasser had said that is in conjunction with the axiom itself, and then also looking at the criteria for Glasser quality schools and how these axioms were used with them. And then Sharon Carter-Jackson will be adding to the conversation and helping us see some behavioral strategies that these axioms kind of correct or add to or emphasize, and then also some instructional strategies. And all of these things, even though the quality school will be highlighted, it is also for business and everyday life. These things apply universally. So welcome everyone, and it's good to have you here. And so Sue, if you're ready to bring up we can put it on the screen, everyone can see.
There we go. Come on. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the axioms.
Okay.
Where we are presently.
Right. Okay, so we're going to look at 8 right now. The only person whose behavior we can control is our own. Number 2, all we can give or get from each other is information. How we deal with that information is our own choice, whether we receive it or reject it or whatever. 3, all long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems. 4, the problem relationship is always part of the present life, meaning that the person may be on the other side of the world or next door or deceased or whatever. But if we are holding on to those negatives, and it's okay to hold on to the niceness, but if we're holding on to those negatives, we are carrying it with us. Axiom 5, what happened in the past that was painful has a great deal to do with where we are today. But revisiting this painful past can contribute little or nothing to what's going on now. So we need to improve an important present relationship. And number 6, we are all driven by 5 genetic needs. They're just inside of us and they are automatic. That is the need to survive, the need to love and to belong, the need for power, and the need for fun. And the 2 we're going to be looking at today is 7 and 8. 7, that we can satisfy these needs only by satisfying a picture that we already have in our head. Because from the day we are born, we are looking around and we are scoping in, oh, I like that, but I don't like that. And if I really like that, then that kind of becomes a quality picture. And we want to satisfy these needs that we have looked at and we have really resonated with. And then axiom number 8, all we can do from birth to death is behave. And we're always behaving, whether it's goodly or not so goodly. And all behavior is total, meaning that it is making up our 4 inseparable components. And that is the actions we do, the feelings we feel, the thinking we think, and the physiology, which is on itself, as in blood pressure or heart palpitations or sweating. Anyway, it's in keeping with those 4 components. So that's the 8. There's 10 total. We'll do 2 next week. Sue, when you're ready, we're ready.
Okay. Well, here we go with axiom number 7, that we can satisfy these needs only by satisfying a picture or pictures in our quality worlds. So in Dr. Glasser's Choice Theory, a New Psychology of Personal Freedom book, he said to us, of all we know, what we choose to put into our quality worlds is the most important. He also said, the most freedom we ever experience is when we are able to satisfy a picture in our quality worlds. If we put pictures into our quality worlds that we cannot satisfy, we are giving up freedom. And so
Sue, may I step in here
Let's
for
do.
our people that will be watching this later that are not familiar with this? Do we know that we're choosing those quality world pictures?
In some cases, people do know. If they're familiar with choice theory, if they've been taught choice theory, if they're lucky enough to work with somebody who's practicing reality therapy, or in an educational setting with an educator who's familiar, they may know. But it could be really very, very unconscious that we don't know what it is that we're striving for. We don't know what it is that is in our quality world. Some people aren't familiar with the concept at all, so we will, in a reality therapy context, be asking people, so what is it that you want? What is it that you really want? And that might help them really figure out what is in their quality worlds before we've actually labeled it quality worlds.
And because that is what they want, to them that's quality.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And it may be to them, and that's a good point also, Mona, because to them it may be quality, and it may be a caretaker, or it could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a counselor who's helping to see maybe this isn't the best way as they self-evaluate the quality world picture itself. Maybe this isn't something that you really want. So for instance, in a classroom, a kid knocks down another kid's books, and what is it that you want? Well, I want the other kid's attention. Oh, and the kid may not know that. I don't know. What do I want? I don't know. Well, what were you hoping would happen when you knocked the kid's books down? Well, I was hoping that he'd notice me. I was hoping he'd pay attention to me. I was hoping that, he'd get angry with me. Oh, is that really what you want? And by the time we're all said and done with it, we may help the kid to realize, oh, I really want to be friends with that kid. So just sometimes they're not real conscious, and sometimes it's not the best choice.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing that up. And the Glasser Quality School Committee has seen links between this axiom and their criteria number one, our criteria number one. A Glasser Quality School is a joyful place where positive, supportive, trusting learning and working environment is created and maintained. When students enjoy school, feel safe and valued, they will take the risks needed to perform and learn in school. Also linking it to criteria 2, that students and educators do well on measurements of learning and school performance. When students know that people both care and expect them to learn and will ensure that they have the support needed, they will rise to the occasion and more. So for some kids, they don't have it in their quality world picture that to do well, to produce quality, to work hard, that school is in their quality world. We always kid about it that for adolescents, it isn't school and teachers, it's their friends. So we've actually given kids a place to go where they can see their friends all simultaneously. And it has nothing to do with learning or anything else. We're interfering with their ability to connect with their friends. Now, we thought it was important that we could see some differences in the way the axiom is stated from other sources. So WGI International states axiom number 7. So they did some flipping around here. They've stated it as axiom 7, all we do is behave. And they've placed the satisfying of needs as an addition in axiom 6. And so now have moved on the concepts of behavior. So it's just an interesting piece. So we in 7, we've actually in gift, we've put it together. So, and now as we said, we were going to take a look again at axiom 7 and the behavioral instructional strategies. So Sharon?
I'm here. Okay, let's take a look. Conferencing. So if all we can do is behave and we're wanting to meet our needs, as that example of the discussion Sue just gave, many times conferencing is a way of speaking and working together so that we can find out what is that quality world and which of those needs are we meeting when we are matching that quality world picture. Perhaps we need to change it, as Sue said. What worked 10 years ago in my life may not be quality today, but I may still be trying to hang on to that. So that's where we're going with this conferencing. It's a way of talking, discussing. It works well in schools, of course, as we conference, perhaps with individuals or teams or classroom, whatever the grouping might be. In work situations, I can see that conferencing is essential to developing those working relationships, because everybody comes to work with the picture in their head of what they're going to do and do well today to meet the needs of the company.
So, Sharon,
And
is this a way of self-evaluation?
Oh, I would think so. I would definitely think so. And as we go on with this, Mona, as we conference or work with each other, and I've come to work with my quality world picture of how I'm going to do my job, and somebody says, nope, you're not, then we have to start questioning and working to see if we can work towards a common quality world picture, because we don't live in isolation, do we? We always are with each other, and we're always in relationship with each other. So whether it's a work group, whether it's a school group, whether it's a family situation, no matter where, being able to sit and talk and figure out what we want to do together is essential. And that is that self-evaluation, Mona. Maybe it's group evaluation, but it's evaluating so that we can work together and each of us be okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, class meetings is something unique to schools, whereas the educator and the group of students that is in charge within that group do sit down and set their working relationship, their class constitution, so to speak, of how they're going to work. Class meetings are ongoing. It takes a while to develop these strategies and to agree upon them, then putting them into place, coming back to evaluate, tweak, as we might say, what is working and what isn't working, and what else do we need to do. So within work situations, there are always times that different groups, perhaps it's the individual sections of a group that meet regularly. Perhaps there are some times when all the different portions of a company meet together to discuss. And relationship building. Relationships are the most critical thing, as Dr. Glasser goes on to say. So as we're doing the conferencing, as we're doing the class meetings or the group meetings with our work situations, we are building relationships. And Dr. Glasser says our current problems are always with a current relationship. So again, that evaluation piece would come in and help us to evaluate these relationships, what is working, what might not be working, and taking that on with agreement with our other people. Kinesthetic learning styles. Okay, kinesthetic has to do with touch and feel, of course. I'm very much of a visual learner, so I take copious notes, because as I'm writing and feeling that kinesthetic thing, I'm also visually seeing as well as hearing. So I'm involving 4 styles of learning, modalities of learning. Some people want to know the whole picture. Just tell me in general what it's going to be, and I'll work through the parts as we do it. Other people want a list. Okay, this is the heading. These are the subpoints. These are the sub-subpoints. This is what we're going to be doing. They want the details. So being conscious of your learning style and how that works for you, but how it may not work for the next person. And this is very critical in those work situations also. Within a learning, within a family, and you're working with your child on learning, and you're saying, you're, of course, going to use your style, right? Because it works. It's the best, but it may not be theirs. So it takes time to work with someone to develop what their style of learning, taking in information, no matter what location or what group you're within. Okay, now we're going to instructional strategies that we researched through several different sources that would be helpful in initiation these 2 axioms. Okay. choice in assignments and activities. This is always the most fun part when I was in the classroom. Okay, kids, we have this to do today. This is our agenda, and this is where we're going to be going with it. You may use pencils, crayons, markers to do your project. If you want to write it out and can express it in a short paragraph or whatever, that's fine. But so many assignments within a school setting can have lots of choices that help us arrive at the same end of the learning or the concept. And I can see this happening within work situations where different office assistants are assigned jobs, and one of them may do it one way, one may do it another way, but they end up getting it done. And then they can work with each other. Wow, I wouldn't have done it that way, but I see you were very successful with it. Okay, we get the end product and we're still in good relationship with each other. Okay, cooperative learning. This is a strategy we use quite often in the classroom where students are assigned and perhaps they've had input into the groups to work together. Usually there are 4 students in groups. We found that number seems to work best. But cooperative learning means I know this, you know that. How can we put it together to get this project done, to get to our goal? I learned this way, you learned that way. We're going back to the behavioral strategies and then putting them to work within a composite group that are working towards one end. If it's not working, then they go to that evaluating of the group and or the individuals within that group to be able to be successful with the assignment. And I know businesses have committees and they have groupings. Okay, this is your task. How many times in the news do we hear this task force is charged with? And that's a group of people. As a group of people, and they each may well have different ways of thinking about it in their quality world, but they're going to come together to work in a cooperative way, we hope.
Well,
Okay,
which is
next.
also part of it, that we in a kid situation, we're teaching kids the social skills necessary. And for an educator to have actually set up the scenario that the kids will do better if they're working together. But we have to be really careful with that because there's finally an individual accountability that also is always built in. So,
Correct.
sorry, next.
No, this is a discussion. Okay, reinforcing effort and providing recognition. Okay, with quality schools and instructional strategies, we look more at the effort the student is making. We try hard to have all learning to be useful, work useful, not mundane, not fluff. So we're going to be talking about the effort the student did more than the actual work itself, whether it is matching what we wanted or not. Asking for the effort. How did they think they worked? What would they do differently this time? That goes back into the evaluation. As they work through, they can begin to give that recognition to themselves. I did this part really well. I need help on this part. Oh, I can go here to get this information. So is helping students and or work employees that might be within your group or your family. I think these strategies are so important for families. Your student comes home with a grade that you would not have preferred. Okay, well, what happened to you? Didn't you study? No, we would hope the parents would be saying, I know you were working on this for so long, and I know how much time you spent in your room doing this. What do you want to do now? What's the next? So there's always a positive way to build up the students so they feel that they want to continue and that the work is going to be useful to them, as well as then saying, wow, you did work a lot. You did work. I saw that. So you're giving them the recognition for that work as well as them self-evaluating it.
What also fits in here is the combination with cooperative learning that can we help the kids in their group be able to provide recognition to each other. So to show appreciation, to help each other in their self-evaluation. That could be useful.
Right.
Lastly.
Exactly. Okay. So setting objectives and providing feedback. If we don't have a road in front of us, we're going to wander everywhere and not get to a destination. So setting objectives helps to put that road in front of us. It looks like this is where we're going, and this is what we're needing to do to get there. And as we're getting down that road, then we engage in feedback. Again, we'd be doing it much like we did in the last example. We're helping the individual person, no matter which group it is, to evaluate themselves, what was working and what wasn't working. How did that help you get to this end objective? Ooh, it was just really a good article to read. It really didn't help me, but I'm glad I read it. Now I'm going to go look at something else, right? We do this with ourselves all the time. So setting the objective, know where you're going, and then providing feedback as you're to stay straight on that road.
And it is always interesting to us, as we're so committed to self-evaluation, that where does feedback fit for self-evaluation? So feedback is not judgment. Feedback is information, which may be in a rubric, which may be in exemplars, to compare work with somebody else's, to compare numbers with somebody else's, and to see where that fits. So the judgment, in a sense, comes from the self-evaluation as opposed to from the educator or whomever, which, of course, educators very often have to give grades. But right. Do the kids have, so it is compromised in a sense, but yet on the other hand, are kids working towards what's located on the rubric to be able to see, well, this is what it will take to be at this level, at the next level, at the level under that, and how hard they want to work for it. So if that's helpful at all.
Right.
All right.
Definitely.
Okay, so on to Axioms 8. And here we go. Axiom 8, all we can do from birth to death is behave. All behavior is total behavior and is made up of 4 inseparable components: acting, thinking, feeling, and physiology. In Dr. Glasser's work, he taught us about the behavior car. And so the 4 wheels of the car, the acting and thinking wheels, are, in a sense, and this is a front wheel drive car, is where the action really is, where the thinking is. Now it's all connected and it's all simultaneous. Feeling and physiology, we have less control over, and it is directly connected with acting and thinking, but those are the back wheels of the car, if that's helpful metaphorically for people. And in Dr. Glasser's Choice Theory of New Psychology of Personal Freedom, he said, of all we know, what we choose to put in our quality worlds is the most important. He also said, not only are we always behaving, but we are also always trying to choose to behave in a way that gives us the most effective control over our lives, which is really interesting to help clients, adults, students, kids, parents know how much control they actually have based on their behavior. So in Gifts Glasser Quality School Committee, we see the links between this axiom and criteria 2, total learning competency. And when we look at total learning competency, what we're really looking at, what we're looking at is the fact that when students are adequately supported instructionally, and then they learn what competent students do and how they think, and they begin to feel and have the same composure. And I'm trying to move this to see what I had. Well, okay, the same composure and something. Confidence, there we go. That's way better. Okay. And then, so that's where we hooked it into. We just hooked it into criteria number 2. And then we're looking at the differences in this axiom from other sources. And again, WGI International states axiom number 8 as all behavior is total behavior and made up of 4 components: acting, thinking, feeling, and physiology. Noting that WGI International has identified all we do is behave, that was their axiom 7, they've split up the behavior and the total behavior concepts in separate axioms, where at Gift US, we haven't done that. So next step in axiom number 8, we're taking a look at the behavioral strategies. So there we go, Sharon.
Okay. One of the things that is great to do to clarify, and this can be done in some of the conferencing and the class meeting, is to delineate my job is, your job is. So I am the teacher. I will be rested and prepared and conscious of your needs. That is my job. I'm just giving very simple little examples. Your job is to be rested on time and ready to work on whatever it is we're working. You can also add another level to this is my job is not. And I think that's really critical sometimes. My job is not to open your book and find the page for you. You are responsible for certain of those behaviors. My job is not to nag you or remind you that work is due. My job is to have taught you and given you the information and helped you whatever method we're doing to get the job done. Your job is to be prepared and have studied and ready to know what we have learned and be able to share what you have learned with others. So that's a really good clarifying strategy, no matter where you are. Well, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to have to do it. Maybe that's not my job.
Yeah, your job isn't to do everybody else's work.
Exactly not. But how many times do some of us take that on? So, right. So it's a good clarifying strategy to help you no matter where you are and what group you are within society. Okay. Goal setting. Again, that's kind of like objectives. Goals are usually a little bigger, we think of. They're the kind of the top level of where we want to be, say at the end of a school year or end of a semester, whatever ending point we have. It might be within a campaign, within a work situation. My goal is at the end of that, what is it that I want to have achieved? What is it that I'm going to be working towards? Is this goal workable within other things that I'm doing and other things that we're doing to meet our needs? What is my thinking? What is my doing? Those two back wheels. If I'm getting headaches all the time, physiology is telling me something's not right. Our back wheels always tell us how we feel. Maybe I'm getting an upset stomach. Maybe this goal isn't where I need to be, or maybe this job is or is not where I need to be, as we're getting that input from the back wheels. Once you're on those front wheels and thinking, okay, I know I can do this. I know I don't want to do that. That's helping you, again, to set that goal, to get there, as well as having done your job is and job is not. Journaling. Journaling is a great practice that a lot of people use, writing down. And sometimes if you just journal today, this is what I did. This is what I was hoping to have done. Wow, that was really special. Look what somebody gave me today. You're journaling and reflecting back on your day's happenings. And you can look at what strategies you may have used for behavior. Like what happened when I did that. I'm going to make certain I pay more attention to that in different situations. Oh, my goodness. When I read back through, I did not like what happened when I was doing that. Again, we're on our thinking wheels and we're self-evaluating where we're going. And that can help me with my behaviors and the strategies I have, not only for myself, but within the group that I'm working. Questioning process. In schools, we find if we couch the WDEP, the reality therapy questions, as the questioning process is really helpful to educators. Educators see themselves as educators. They often do not see themselves as counselors. In a work situation, I think this would apply aptly to all of those situations. But the questioning process I can do. Okay, we're starting out. What did you want? What did you really want, as Sue said a while ago? Helping to evaluate as we're evaluating what is happening. Well, so when you did that, you were wanting that, what were you doing? And then is it working? Okay. And then you're down to developing a plan. And maybe it's different, maybe it's similar. Maybe you've evaluated and I like this. I'm going to keep doing this. I think it's going to work in the future. But the questioning process, as we work with our students, and within a classroom that you taught choice theory and you've taught the questions, you can go straight through. And especially if you've taught the total behavior. And I used to use, it takes keys to start the car and get them going. Okay, you've done that. Your steering wheel is your wants. You know, what is it that I'm wanting today? Fun, love, need, freedom. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I need food. So which road am I going to be driving my car down? That thinking and acting wheel is going to help me decide. And this is how we use that fun. So in the classroom, I could say, are you giving your keys away today? I could cut to the chase because we had been through enough situations that with certain students that we had worked together on the questioning process and making plans. They could then, no, I don't think so. You know, so there's the questioning process is just invaluable. I think I use it for myself a lot. And so I think that's a great behavior strategy to add to any vocation that we might be in. The behavior system and total behavior. Dr. Glasser says that our behavior system is where we create and continue to use our existing behaviors. And as we're in that behavior system, quite often our car is just there, and the total behavior cars we've just been talking is there in that, and we're doing behaviors that we've always done. They've been comfortable, they've worked, but all at once we're spinning. It's icy out there and the snow's got us, and we're just not getting anywhere. We're stuck. So as we look at that system, is there something new I need to do? We can create new behaviors, new thoughts that, as we've been talking about, taking advantage of that behavioral system and the total behaviors cars concept. Some strategies.
For instructional strategies. It's all 9 of them, which I can put all 9 of them up if you want, Sharon.
Whatever you think, but we've used a list of 9 strategies within the classroom quite frequently, and we've used all of those within the classroom. Do you think we need them up, Sue?
Sure, and they just align with the thinking and doing behaviors. And so it's just to remind us that it comes from the work of Bob Marzano from Classroom Instruction That Works. I don't think we have to go through each of them, but these are all meta-researched as the top 9 instructional strategies. And you've seen us talk about them all.
Right. I think just reading through them as they've came up, Sue, is helpful enough, knowing that we do use all of these and how well they do align with the concepts, total behavior car and the total choice theory and questioning process. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That definitely makes Axiom 7 and 8 more palatable. So we thank you very, very much. So we'll go ahead and close out for today, but those of you that are here will have some discussion. So thank you for being here and many blessings.